We've now arrived in the fourth quarter of 2024, which means it's now time to look back on the third quarter. Here are my thoughts on this edition of the Video Market Update. So we are now in the home stretch, but before we look forward to the fourth quarter, let's take a quick step back and see what happened in the third quarter. One of the main things that happened in the third quarter was that the Federal Reserve has cut interest rates for the first time in 4 years. Now, we've talked about that numerous times on other videos, so we'll focus on other things today. But a lot of the information that came out in the third quarter is what ran up to the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates, like a weakening labor market and a softening of the stock market. If you look at this chart here, this is the S&P 500 during that period of time. Now, the first thing that stands out is it's green, which means there were positive returns. But as you look a little closer, you see the peaks and you certainly see the valleys. It was in August, which is in the third quarter, where we saw a big drop that led to a number of people reaching out saying, well, is this the time to sell? Is this the time to go to cash? Luckily, we decided to stay the course and we were benefited by the positive returns in the market. Now, if you zoom out a little bit, this is the full year of the S&P 500. So you can see the big drops, but you can see the steady, somewhat steady returns for the entire year. Now, in that same third quarter, look at the NASDAQ. The tech-heavy NASDAQ lost money in the third quarter because, again, big peaks, even bigger valleys. So between a little bit of softening of the market, the cut of the Federal Reserve to the interest rate and the volatility, that's kind of where we left off with the summer. So the question is, where do we go from here? So what I thought we would do is listen to our chief market economist, Tom Siamatis of AE Wealth Management to get his thoughts. So let's listen to what Tom says just for the next minute or so.
It's hard to believe there are only 3 months left in 2024. I've been stressing all along that the second half of the year would be a lot more eventful than the first half, which was a pretty good one for the markets. This upcoming quarter will be a bit spicy as well. We have the election to deal with, so I expect this volatility to continue into November. Volatility is a natural part of normally functioning markets, and it is the price of admission to the world of higher returns. If you have been letting things ride and are out of balance, get yourself back in balance as soon as possible. I said this last time and I'll say it again. We're in for some turbulence in the second half of the year, so turn off the cruise control and take a firm hold of the wheel. I'll be back with you to recap the fourth quarter and preview 2025 in a few months. Expect volatility to remain with us in October and early November. Stay focused on the long term, don't be a speculator, and look for the quick fix. Instead, be an investor and let the averages and probabilities work for you. Keep ego and emotions in check.
I always love hearing from Tom, but as I've said before, Tom is a little more pessimistic than I am, so we take what he says with a slight grain of salt. But the volatility that we saw in the third quarter may continue into the fourth quarter. I am not as worried about the outcome of the presidential election. I think in the short term, I'm not sure that it will have that big of an impact on the market. I think long term, depending on what happens, it could be pretty damaging to the market and the economy. But in the short run, at least as we look at the end of the year and into the beginning of next year, I don't see a lot of change either way. So just a quick update. Where do we come from in the third quarter? What happened? And then some thoughts as we go into this fourth quarter. Again, there will be multiple videos and emails through the next 3 months as we go through October, November, and December to close out the year. But if you have any questions on this or anything you're seeing in the market, let me know. But if not, as always, I hope you make it a great week.